Had a little listen to his podcast, huh?
Dude, it's educational. And besides, I've been wanting to listen to this one.
Welcome to Idling in the Impala, a podcast by and for lovers of supernatural and the fan fiction it inspires. Before we begin, just want to remind you to follow us wherever you listen so you don't miss any episodes or bonus content. If you love what we do and want an easy way to show your support, please consider leaving us a positive, all the stars rating on your favorite listening platform. It helps SPN and fanfic lovers find us and share in the fun. I'm Sandra.
I'm Kasey, and welcome to the first ranking episode that we recorded in 2025.
We don't know when it's coming out.
I don't know if it's the first ranking episode that comes out in 2025, but it's the first one we recorded in 2025. Happy 18th of January, 2025. It's nearly Dean's birthday. How exciting.
It is. We were just talking. I was just talking about that. Yeah.
You were just talking about that. Yeah. Yeah, you should, like, I didn't say it in Discord, but I'll say it to you, and then you can cut this out if you want. I was like, you should do a happy birthday, Mr. President kind of thing. You know, like you did, as you did Don't Hurry Down the Chimney with the Santa baby. Yeah. You should do that. But then as I was about to start typing it, I was like, oh, fuck no. Not with what's currently going on. No. But like, you know. That was the first birthday thing that came into my mind.
I bet you there's something I could have her do that's reminiscent of like something that he would really like enjoy, costume wise. I'll have to have a think on it and see. I'll be able to do it, I think.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Something cute. Yeah.
Something cute. But yeah, so as we tangent off into the usual of all things for me, Dean Winchester.
Sorry, that was me. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. I will never, not, except when we're on a time crunch, which we're not yet, but maybe later on down the line.
We might be. We're not on a time crunch yet, but if I keep fucking tangenting, we're gonna be. So, what is the first ranking episode we record in 2025, Sandra? What are we doing?
We're doing witches. Witches. I think,
Kasey, witches,
this
man.
was your idea, right?
It was my idea.
Yeah.
It was. Well, I have to give credit that I was talking to Dee at the same time I was trying to come up with these ideas, and she mentioned Max and Tasha. What the fuck? Alicia? No. Tasha? Alicia? The witches from Asa Fox's funeral.
Max
the twins.
And Alicia Baines, yeah.
Baines, yeah. She mentioned them. And I was like, I want to do a deep dive into them. They're only in a couple of episodes. And then I was like, I'll do witches though. Mm-hmm. And I'm really sorry to Dee. They didn't make my cut. I'm so sorry.
Well, that's great though that she found them interesting, to even like shout them out, because they are, I think it's just like everything else. Sometimes you wish you'd see more of certain characters and less of others. And yeah, I think they had an interesting storyline potential, what was going on.
Unfortunately, my interest in them is exclusively in what she did with them in her Drag Out From Your Mouth series. Mm-hmm. I have no interest in canon. But no. I was like, what are we going to rank? We got to rank some shit. Let's rank witches. And that seemed like a good idea a couple of weeks ago when I pitched that to Sandra. And when it was about 3 hours ago, when I sat down to write the fucking thing.
It wasn't like 3 hours ago. You did it yesterday, I think.
I didn't. Yeah. No, I didn't.
You did it today?
I didn't. I did it this afternoon.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, still.
It might have been maybe 4 hours ago. I'm getting worse, guys. Send help. Send help. My life is spiraling. No, it seemed like less of a good idea when I was going, I don't remember what any of these fucking people are. Mm-hmm. But I have managed to, with the help of the fandom wiki, not the super wiki, that's different, the supernatural fandom one, the one with all the ads, you know the one.
Yeah, I actually went to the super wiki and looked at the list too, because they have one there. When I typed in witch, they had a list.
No, maybe I should have done that. I didn't. This is such a brilliant intro for this. So I'm like, what a fucking nightmare. I did it like 4 hours ago. I didn't want to do this. I do. I have thoughts and I have feelings, and I very much want to see what Sandra says. And I have an ace card as well. So.
Should we start with the fact, too, that we also said we have taken a witch out of contention because we both knew she'd be number one for both of us?
Yep. Sandra was like, what are we going to do about Rowena?
I think you were like that first.
we gotta take her out because she's gonna be both of our number ones anyway. So we gotta be like, it is established that were she an option, she would be our favorite witch of the show. So, no Rowena.
Well, and I think too, when we keep talking about witches in general, I just find them to be very lacking in the show. There's just, it was really hard to find witch representation that kind of felt novel or innovative or didn't just kind of like, because all things considered, even though they're not technically monsters, right? But their power and like what it can be used for could go many different ways. And you see the them using demonic powers, different things like that. But then there's also another side of it that isn't represented as much. And when we talk to Jane, who is a white witch, I'm actually probably going to link that episode. There were opportunities for a lot of different things, and they didn't do it. Big surprise. It just happens sometimes, the way supernatural is. But yeah, so we were like, how do we do the thing? How do we look at them all and see what's interesting about them?
Well, when I was looking it up when I was on the wiki, it like broke them down into 3 categories, and it was like borrowers, students, and natural borns. So like the book club, which is from one of the early seasons, they're borrowers.
Yeah, they're the ones that had the demon thing happening. Yeah.
I think Ruby was a borrower. I'm sure she was on that list. I know she's a demon now, but when she was alive, she was a witch. And she got her powers from... Yeah, because that was in like season 3 or 4 or something. And they went to go deal with some shit, and it was Ruby 1, Blonde Ruby. The first blonde Ruby. And the demon or whatever was like, oh, you remember when... Yeah. And then there was students, and then there was like natural born witches. Turns out there's a fair few ways you can come upon witchdom. But they're all kind of like... They're just mean. I know they're supposed to be monsters, but like, I struggled because I didn't want to put like a mean witch in my list, because I know that not all witches are mean. I know this. But I'm with Dean on the mean ones. Friggin' witches, man. With their bodily fluids and stuff. It's disgusting and unsanitary. Like, it's nasty.
I think it's motivation, right? Like, it's what the motivation is, like what the goal is, how you're going to, it's just like with everything else, with the power that you have, what do you do with it? Which path do you take? And
don't make moldy, rotty maggot sandwiches. That's one. Don't put beating hearts in cupcakes. That's one. Like, there are many. If I was a witch,
one of your cats agreed.
Oh shit! I changed my Zoom settings the other day. I will change that back.
No, that's cute. There was like, yeah, don't do that. Don't put beating hearts in cupcakes.
Yeah, Jinxie has feelings about beating hearts in cupcakes and how they shouldn't be. But like, if I was a witch, I just think you could do infinitely more horrifying things than just make someone's dinner a bit gross. That's all I'm saying.
And the fact, like, the book club's like initial motivation was like what, like winning like raffles or giveaways or like baking contests and stuff like that, and then how it just, but that how that keeping up with the Joneses thing actually then was used by another higher power to kind of like get things to happen. You know what I mean? Like, so it was like, it's all of this, like, what your motive is can kind of affect how maybe you are used or taken advantage of by someone else of higher power. So you really kind of have to keep that all in check, which is like something I am like starting to think about more when I'm thinking about Julie and Dean and her current situation and what might happen later, you know, that kind of a situation. So there's a lot to think about.
Have her dress up in a Halloween costume, a witchy costume. With the stripy tights and the little hat. Come on, now. That's cute.
I'll tell you about my thought about what I'm going to do and where I'm going to place it later if we have some time today.
Yes.
But yes.
And you know what else though? Not just the skeevy gross witches. Like, that's nasty. Don't put stuff in my dinner. Oh, and there's an episode I don't fucking remember which one it is. But the cold opener of the episode is like a couple coming back from a party or something, and she's in the bathroom brushing her teeth, and then she starts to cough, like spit out her teeth.
That's the
into
same
the sink.
book club
Is it the
episode.
same?
Yeah.
Fucking nasty. I dream about my teeth falling out. Like, I hate it. It's nasty, nasty. But also, there's that witchy couple that, like, they're having, like, a marital fucking fight, and they decide, fuck this town.
And that's the beating hearts cupcakes. Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck that. And they have that big argument. And also, Jensen got stung on his ass for that.
I don't know if he got stuck on his ass for that one. That one was definitely CG. That was definitely CGBs. I'm wondering if the bugs episode.
Yeah, I'm never sure.
I'm telling you, those bees were CG'd. They were. Yeah, it was very obviously CG'd.
That story might be from Bugs, because doesn't he say, "Oh, when they call action, we've got flamethrowers," and that's not in the Melissa Baccarum.
No, you're thinking of Shut Up, Dr. Phil. That's the marital couple. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. Malefius Maleficarum is the book club witches. All again, very bad representation.
Can I just say something, right? Can I just say something? Having a conversation in Discord yesterday, I think. Join our Discord, link in the description. I had a conversation in Discord, and Sandra said to me, I was yelling about things, as I want to do. Come join Discord, you can watch me yell about geese in real time. It's a fucking laugh riot for everybody. But Sandra said to me, she was like, I don't know, like, how do you know all this stuff? And I was like, oh no, I Googled all this. Like, I didn't fucking know shit about this like 10 minutes ago. I Googled it all. And she was like, yeah, but will you retain it? And I was like, well, since I showed myself up by not knowing it, yes, probably. And she's like, I don't know, man. I just like, you said something about feeling like you had a small brain. But the way you could fucking recall this shit is incredible to me. I can mention one goddamn thing, the beating heart cupcakes, and you're like, bam! And
I've watched the episodes way too many times. That's why it's retained in my brain. And also,
yeah, well, there you go. Don't put yourself down.
It's my hyper focus of this show. That's the only thing. Like, you talk about geese or elephants, or I'm out, dude. It's like, I just want to know Dean and all of the things that happen in Supernatural. That's in my brain right now. Plus, we do so much of this that my research revolves around a lot of this. So that's why it stays stuck in my brain. I'm good with this, and I'm good with 80s and 90s movies. That's it.
Excellent.
That's it.
Excellent topics.
That's my little Trivial Pursuit niche, and then that's it. I have nothing else to offer anyone when it comes to. I'm talking about science and all this other stuff. Knowledge. You guys are really good with that. Like, Ted's like that too. I'm just like, where does that just spout out of your mouth? Like, you just
collect shiny facts.
I know. I don't have
the shiny facts back to the nest.
My shiny fact is Dean Winchester, and that's all I do.
Yeah, and that's fucking great. I just want to hear less of this putting down. Like, oh, I don't know how you.
But it's only one thing.
It's really dumb.
It's literally only like one thing. It comes in handy here.
It's not just one thing though, because I can go, oh, beating heart cupcakes, and I bet if you thought about it, you'd be able to tell me like who directed that episode and who wrote it and stuff like that as well.
That night, yeah. Some of them I remember, but not all of them. Yeah, no, that I don't know. See, yeah, but like great.
Some of them. You know, it's like it's much deeper than just knowing the plot of episodes. That's all I'm saying.
Okay,
that's all I'm saying.
Well, I'll take you up on that part, but that's it.
Yes, no, but fucking shut up, Dr. Phil. I don't like that episode. And it's got person who shall not be named in it as well. And Dean is mildly appreciative of it, and I don't fucking like that because I didn't age well.
Yeah, I know.
And I appreciate that was.
We are going to have to have things that didn't age well on Supernatural. It's going to have to be a thing. Writing that down.
Sam's sexual assault in episode 1-1. Sam's sexual assault in episode Dean's sexual assault. Sam's sexual assault. Yeah.
Well, we've already done that one, but I'm just like in general, like pop culturally and stuff like
pop culture that didn't age well. Yeah. Oh, Dean's comment about sorority girls didn't age well.
Love the pillow fights. God love
this is how it happens, guys. We're gonna record a rankings episode, and while we're recording the rankings episode, we're like, oh, what if we ranked this and what if we did that? This is how it goes. Anyway, I struggled with my list because I didn't want to put nasty, skeevy cupcake and teeth witches on my list. But I scrounged up 5.
Okay.
And I don't think it will be a surprise to anybody what my number 1 is, but we'll see.
Well,
But
I was thinking about your possibles, so I was like, let me see if I could come up with some other ones, because I was like, I think Kasey might pick this, or Kasey, I think.
Oh, no,
Kasey might
really?
pick that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, I didn't, because I didn't. Sandra did hers yesterday like a good person. And I saw the document and I was like, I could just look, and then I didn't. Because I was like, that's going to be boring. But I couldn't limit myself any further into ones that Sandra didn't pick.
Oh, goodness. Well, we'll see. We'll see once we compare.
Let's see. Let's see if there's overlap.
So to make it easier for ourselves, instead of trying to do a top 10 each, we're doing a top 5 each, and we will just take turns and see.
I could not have found 10 witches.
No, I couldn't. I don't think there's 10 witches on the show, quite frankly. I think even if you break it down, I think you're really stretching it in terms of like witches that they actually like name and stuff like that.
I do have a semi list of witches I rejected as well.
Okay.
So we can discuss that as well if you want.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'd like to hear that. I don't know if you want to do it. Do you want to do it now before we get into it? Because I have no rejections, quite frankly.
No, let's do the list, and then we can be like, these are the witches I found that I didn't pick.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do the list.
So, number 5, like my least favorite, going up to the top. I picked the Striga from Something Wicked, from season 1, which is it's like, the reason I picked it is because of the lore, and sort of like the name of it. It's related to, I believe it's like, this particular one is an Albanian witch, but as soon as I heard the name, it reminded me of the Strega in Italian lore. And so the whole fact is, I literally just picked it because it reminded me of Italy and like different stories I've heard growing up about like around, like witches in Italy can go like, again, like either way. Like some of them are kind of like, they're a little clever, a little tricksy, some of them are nicer, some of them aren't. Like some of them are out like, to steal the souls of the kids. Some of them are out to do good things. The Strega witch in Italy, one of the lores or legends actually started in the hometown that my family was born and raised in, like in Benevento. So I'm going to like attach an article about it, which basically is like witchcraft in southern Italy, because I just thought I like it when Supernatural takes lore and just kind of like plops it in and then works something around it. I just feel like that kind of grounds it in a way, kind of like how when they started in season 1 with like urban legends and different things like that. I like that. I liked that part of it. They don't do it as much. And for somebody that doesn't necessarily like Monster of the Weeks, I just usually don't like them when I feel it's kind of like a weak monster, like weak as in W-E-A-K.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, this one just kind of like, even though it's a lot of backstory episode 2 as well, but I don't necessarily like the witch for what the witch does in the episode, but I liked the mention of it because it gave me that sense of home. And actually, Strega is also a liqueur that's originated in Benevento, and it's named after a witch. And apparently there's a whole thing about a walnut tree and something like that I think that's where like, I think the flavoring or whatever comes from this liqueur. I just remember this was like a big deal for me growing up. Anybody in southern Italy, Strega, chat with us if you've heard this thing, because it's a thing in that part of Italy. But
so fucking cool.
You can find bottles of it too. Like if you just type in Strega liqueur, you can see what it looks like. But like we have some big bottles down in our basement of this stuff.
No, we're ready for the end times,
we're
lads.
ready. We're ready for the end
good
times.
Shit.
But yeah, this is just one of those things. It's kind of like when they mentioned Delaware. It's one of those things. Oh, like I just immediately got like this connection.
That's so fucking cool though. That you get like not Delaware, but like as your heritage from Italy, you're like, we have all this cool lore. And I was sitting here trying to think about what the fuck we have for witches in the UK.
I mean,
and
honestly,
anything we might have had has been over fucking shadowed now, hasn't it?
It kind of felt to me when I was writing Some Sunny Day, like that started to have like its own. I was like, why don't I just do this? Because again, Julie is basically like me, and I was like, well, let's just use this backstory, all this stuff, because I was scarred as a child around at the kitchen table, like stories I would hear about, like witches or witchcraft or ghosts or, demon possessions, just all kinds of great stuff that you want to be talking to, with a kid at the table around, like the old Italians drinking their
definitely.
coffee, putting in some amaretto in their coffee, maybe a little too much, like talking about what's going on back in the old country and the kind of stuff that they'd have to deal with. I was like, this is okay. But yeah, the Strega is, I guess, a fun one. And the fact that it does directly relate to something that, I grew up with. I was like, I gotta pick this. So
yeah.
So that's my number 5.
My number 5 is far less interesting, unfortunately. my number 5 is Olivet.
Okay.
Who actually only kind of makes an actual real person appearance in one episode. She's just mentioned in other episodes. And it's 1016 Paint It Black, because I wrote this shit down. And the reason that I like her is because at that time we hadn't committed to Rowena as a fandom yet. We were like, nah, she's a bad guy. Mm-hmm. She's a bad guy. Mm-hmm. And I Olivet was like, you're fucking childish and stupid, and this is ridiculous. And I was really into that. Mm-hmm. But then also she gets turned into a hamster. That's ridiculous.
It is.
That's ridiculous.
It is.
There's a real big power fantasy there that, like, I have several enemies I would like to turn into hamsters. And I would probably not treat them as well as Crowley treated Olivet, so.
And, yeah, I mean, I think the whole, like, the Grand Coven thing, like, they really probably could have leaned into that a little bit more, too. Like, I mean, it's always kind of this thing that's talked about a lot, but Olivet is the one, like, at that time, or for however long, she's either been in the Grand Coven or been the one in charge of the Grand Coven.
Yeah, I think she's the one in charge of the Grand Coven.
Yeah. That's an interesting thing, too. That's also in my story. I tell you, I got a thing for witches, man. I got a thing for witches. Yeah. That's why I'm like, supernatural, get it right.
Yeah, get it right, fuckers. I know this stuff. You're doing it wrong. Yeah, Julie's like far more, what's the word, restrained than I would be. Because if I found out I had witchy powers, I'd use it to do fucking everything. Laundry, not anymore. Cleaning, nope.
Well, I always wondered too, because I mean, I really feel like, I don't know, it's almost like when somebody's going through different stages of life and like different things are, I don't know, maybe because of where I'm at right now, and like your body not doing the same stuff that it used to do, and kind of like coming to terms with changes and how to best navigate with that. I feel like that's a thing. Anybody who gets powers of any kind, I would think, would have to kind of like wrestle with that at different times and figure out what you're going to do with it. But yeah, I mean, I definitely think there's, I'd be like, hell yes, let's get some karma. Let's just jumpstart some karma. Can we please? Like about like different situations. Probably not the best person to have given powers to. I want to say that I would be I want to say that I would be like I don't know, like I'd bring about the downfall of capitalism, and I'd punish the bad people, and I'd be a good person. But the reality of the situation is I do be a petty bitch. And if you gave me the cosmic powers of the universe, there's every chance when I was done righting some wrongs in my own life that I would get a bit attached to that feeling. I know who I am. It's hard. Yeah. I mean, I guess I don't know. It's an interesting question too, because like you'd want to, like, I definitely think I'd want to take care of all the people that needed taken care of first in a good way. Like that kind of a thing. But then what does that, it's like the ripple effect. Like what does this one thing do to another situation? Like the dominoes, like how does my influence change everything else? And that's tricky.
And it's like, the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yeah.
You know, just like one person's view of what is just and what is right is not necessarily, you know, it's a whole thing. So it's probably good that we don't have witchy powers, to be honest. I like the way that,
if somebody wants to give us
on, I like the one thing that we were both centered on is, we put some fucking wrongs right first, fix some shit. We got some grudges to deal with, and then after
we know ourselves as people. Like we know that no one's perfect and there's always a struggle with anything. And I get that. Like, I get that. I do. So I'd rather not like delve into it to begin with. I think that's what I've learned. Don't open the door. Don't open the box. Don't go down that path because you don't know what you're going to do with it. And
you're going to learn
myself.
a lot about yourself that you don't necessarily want to know.
Yeah. I think so. So my number 4 is Clea. I can't remember how her name is. I think it's Clea. She was a witch from Grand Isle, Louisiana, and she was an acquaintance of Rowena. So she's in season 11, episode 22, We Happy Few. It's around the time when Rowena's trying to figure out a way. I think she wants to go back in time. She knows, I think, that the world's ending. So she finds Clea and she's like, I need a second for this spell from the Book of the Damned. I just like how like she doesn't like take any of Rowena's shit, and you could tell like it almost reminded me a little bit of like Bobby and Rufus, like, but like the witchy version of it. Like if you would put them back in time and seen them together trying to figure stuff out, I think it would have been fun. And she's also a character that she agrees to help, and then they do the whole thing with Amara. But then the spell backfires, and she's, I think, doing the spell with a bunch of other witches and just gets like, they all 4 of them get like fried, like, you know, as they're doing the spell. So again, she was a fun character that I kind of would have wanted to see more of, and just didn't see. Like, it was just a one and done kind of a situation. And yeah, I liked her. They did that a lot. Why does Supernatural do that so much? We are actually probably, I know we've done like, we've done one episode like about one-off characters that we really liked, but I think that the more we like nitpick, I think we have to get into like the worst. We're going to do that too, right? The worst one-off characters. Like, we hated it. Like, thank God they were only in one episode situation. But she's a character that I would have wanted to see again. I think she would have been fun. I think she would have been a fun addition to Rowena's banter and stuff like that.
No, I'm in for it.
Yeah. So that was mine. That was my number 4.
Cool. My number 4 was Nora Havelock. I'm not really sure how you pronounce that.
Yeah. Havelock, maybe?
Havelock? We're going to go with Havelock. Yeah. Nora Havelock, who is from the season 7 episode Repo Man, which is where the, I forget his fucking name. The guy, and Sam and Dean like depossessed him, and he went a little bit, right? And he went a little bit off the rails, and he resummoned the demon to be repossessed. And there was the dog. I know, that's horrible. Oh, that's awful episode. That's like God. When they do stuff, just leave the dog alone. Like, leave the dogs out of this. leave the pets out of this. Leave the pets out of this. But I liked her. She had some. She was a white witch, a good witch, quote unquote. And I liked that. But I felt she was really realistic as well, in that she was fully with Sam and Dean until it was her son that was threatened. And then she folded like a house of cards. Yeah. And I appreciate that. You know, there's like, so often we see in Supernatural these people who are like, you know, loyal to a fault and defiant to the end and will die rather than blah, 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 blah. But, you know, like, I think a lot of us, if our loved ones were threatened in that manner, would fold and would do whatever was asked in that state. So, you know, she did a bad thing, but she did help put it right, and she wasn't a bad witch. And I'm in for it. My number 3 is also Nora Havelock. Yeah, for a lot of the same reasons, because I think we were talking about before, like, she's one of the few representations of like a white witch, like just like in the normal like day to day, like she does like a mail order white magic business. And what I liked about this too is like, even though I hate the episode, I like the fact that she was a part of something that happened to Sam and Dean. And then once she found out about what was really behind the curtain kind of a situation, you get to see her, maybe like 4 or 5 years later, how that's affected her, what she's done with it. Kind of, you know, like she's taken that knowledge and she's learning, right? She's definitely not a natural. She's just like a student of different things. And you get to see
how unfortunately sometimes having Sam and Dean pop into your life is never a good thing, but also how the knowledge does help her. At first, I think she is like she's beholden to like having to kind of be at the mercy, because doesn't she get like her son's ear or something like sent to her? So then, you know, she's basically like, okay, well, I've got to do whatever they tell me to get him back. But then she does end up helping them to exorcise the demon once and for all and save her son in the process. So I think it's like a little bit of like, yeah, she's got the knowledge. She uses it to save her family, which I think is important, you know, too. And it's like anybody would do that. But yeah, I did like the representation of that. This is what happens to someone later on down the line. So even though you didn't meet her technically in the timeline, when they do the flashback, you get the sense that she was a part of, I guess, whatever was going on. I think it was season 3. I think that's what they made Sam and Dean to look like a little bit in the flashback that they did. But yeah, that's there's so much.
It's a bad episode.
I think the fact that the dog looked like he was going to have something good, and then they just did. That's not what happened.
That to him.
So she's the one bright spot in a otherwise very bad, heart-wrenching. Like, no, not the doggy episode. That's all I would call it. Not the doggy episode. It's just sad.
Not the dog.
So that's my number 3. So what is your number 3?
So my number 3. So I realized when I actually came back to look at this list, I was like, I didn't want to put it in bad, which is on this list, and this, which is real bad. But she's more of a monster than a witch.
Okay.
To be fair.
Okay.
So it is Katya from the season 10 episode About a Boy. And you may be forgiven for not remembering this character.
Oh no, I remember her.
No, not you personally, dear listeners.
Mm-hmm.
Or you know, because the focus of that episode was very much not on her and was very much on Dylan Everett's impeccable performance as Dean. Impeccable. It's up, it's down, I don't know what's happening. I got no grass on the infield. You could be forgiven for thinking, is that the name of that fucking character? But she is the witch that kidnaps Dean and the girl, and she's enslaved Hansel. And she's gonna, you know, it's a Hansel and Gretel like retelling story kind of thing, and she's very like comedically evil, you know, and she very much kind of embodies like the child-eating witch from those kind of fairy tales, Hansel and Gretel, and
she is actually the witch from Hansel and Gretel, right? Yeah, because they talk about Hansel and Gretel. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, Hansel's a character in it, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
that's the guy.
He's the guy in charge. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was trying to think if there were any other like fairy tales like that, like Hansel and Gretel, because I seem to remember there being lots of children eating witches, but I can't fucking conjure any of them now apart from Hansel and Gretel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't either.
But yeah, no, Dean pushes her into the oven, and she's a very comedically evil children's fairy story witch.
Yeah,
that I really like. But also the actress who plays her, I think her name is Lindsay Nicole, something like that. But she's in a few other things. She was in an episode of The Boys, actually. But I know her, and a lot of our British viewers might know her. She was one of the characters in East is East. She was Auntie. Oh, fuck, I can't remember her name now. Auntie Pam, something like that. Auntie Pammy. She was the best friend of the wife character in East is East, and she worked in the fish shop, and she was very, very funny in that movie.
She was in Downton Abbey, I think. I remember her.
Yes, she was.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, she was.
Yeah, I liked her.
Yeah, but she's that movie is very. It's one of those movies that you go, you could never make it now, and you fully couldn't ever make it now. Mm-hmm. But it's a very good movie, and she played a very good character in it. So the actress gets props, but also I do love me a cartoonish witch film. Yeah,
no, that was good. That was actually one of the ones I was thinking of putting on there too, just because. Yeah, it was like, the legend, the lore and stuff, and I think they did a fun twist on Hansel and Gretel. It was innovative, to kind of have that little workaround stuff. And yeah, that's just a great episode anyway.
It's a great episode. And unfortunately, her, great cartoon witchy evilness very much gets overshadowed by Dylan Everett. But I defy anybody to stand against. I got no grass on the infield, and the girl's gonna die as he storms past Sam. Just like, you know, you can really see Sam's like, fucking what is happening right now? You know, so yeah,
it's a good one. It's a good one.
Yeah.
So my number 2 is Max Baines.
Yeah.
So I actually did a little bit of research because I was when I was looking at it, I was like, Max and Alicia. I could not, and I don't know if the fandom wiki is calling Alicia also a witch or if she's.
No, I believe she's also a witch.
But she's probably more of a student, right? Because
maybe, yeah.
From what I'm reading in the Super Wiki, Max is a natural witch like his mother. So that gave me a little bit of pause about Alicia. I'm like, okay, I don't know this well enough to say, you know, is it like I probably could use her as a student. But then I was trying to think, how much witchy stuff did you see her do in either of the 2 episodes that they were in? Max, definitely. But I wasn't sure about Alicia. Like, I know she hunts with her brother, but.
Well, maybe not then.
So I don't know.
See, I just read this chapter, but like I very much struggle to separate the actual supernatural characters from the characters as they stood in Dee's story. So
yeah. I don't know for sure. Like I said, so because I couldn't I didn't get anything like definite. I was like, let me just go with Max because Max is a great character anyway. And I think their initial introduction, there was the hope that maybe you might see more of them. And you do get to see them in another episode, but then the storyline ends up being very tragic, even though they were probably born into it. But I don't think they had that very tragic part, you know, that a lot of hunters get that kind of like gets them into the fold. It's kind of how like Mary was kind of like brought into, like she was born into hunting. And I feel like that's what Max and Alicia had. Like they were born into this like witchy world, hunting world, where they knew stuff was happening, but not until this major tragedy that happens in Twigs and Twine and Tasha Baines, where he ends up, his sister is killed, and then he brings her back with his power situation, but it's not really her kind of a situation. You know, like all that stuff happening. He's just very clever, and he has a very like easygoing way about him. I kind of like how he interacts with, there's that one hunter in Celebrating the Life of Asa Fox. He's just like, go over there, please. Go away from us now. Like that kind of a situation, you know? And I also do wonder, like, you know, he obviously likes his dudes. And I'm like, you know, there's a lot of nice material to choose from with Sam and Dean kind of a situation. So a lot of what ifs there as well. But yeah, the ending, the tragedy of him, you know, losing his family gives me pause to think about what would have happened to him moving forward. Again, how he used his power, not necessarily for the best, but for his family. Like that's what he chose to do. And now he's like going to be living with these consequences. But he was interesting. I really liked him. And not a bad witch, right? But like born into it. And this is what happens in that situation. So the witches they don't all follow the same path like a hunter technically does. Like most hunters are just like, something happens and there you go. Now you're in it, where they can have different backstories and stuff too that I enjoy. I enjoy a lot too with that. But yeah, so I picked Max for number 2.
It's a great pick.
Thank you.
Oh, mine's not anywhere near as deep and insightful as that.
What is it?
Mine's Gary Frankel from Swap Meet.
Oh, well, you love that episode.
I do love that episode.
You do love that episode.
But I just want on the record, right, that Gary and his mate, the lad whose name I forget, right?
Mm-hmm.
They just want to twat about. It's Nora, not the same Nora, different Nora. Same name though, confusing. Very confusing when you're looking at a list of witches. Very confusing. But no, like, she's the one that's possessed by the demon that gets this thing's gonna all screw you up. He just saw Sam and was like, God damn, I'd like to live his life. He was just a silly kid goofing around. He was just a silly boy goofing around.
Ripple effect.
It's a really funny episode.
See what happens. I'm just gonna do this one little thing. This is what happens. You know, this other people, in charge. Ooh, let's use that.
Repercussions, yeah. Repercussions. Yeah, no. Swap Meet is an excellent episode about repercussions and why we don't just do that. But also, I really like it.
Yeah.
And I don't think Gary set out to do a bad thing to be bad, right? He was just a little kid, not even a little kid, but he was just a teen who couldn't see past the last year of high school and his fast food job. And you gotta just grit your teeth through those years. I promise it gets better. You too can be a beefcake, Gary. You just gotta get through the next couple of years, babe. Swapping bodies ain't the way to go. Really
man. Tangent. I don't want to include this yet because I don't know when this is gonna go out. I can't remember. Did you pick Gary as one of your one-offs, your favorite one-offs?
Oh no, I don't think I did.
Okay.
Oh,
because I'm just thinking he's only in the one episode, and you really do love this episode, for so many reasons. And I know you constantly are like, I just love Gary.
I just really like Gary. I would love to have the sex with you. It's a really identifiable trait. We've all been that age, looking at the adults around us, going, "Oh, I want to be there so badly."
Did you like those movies, like those swapping body movies, like Freaky Friday and stuff like that?
I've never seen any of them.
Okay, you might like them.
I've never seen Freaky Friday. I might do.
I like the original.
I'm not gonna lie. I think the what was the movie that had Lindsay Lohan in it with the twins? That's The Parent Trap.
Yeah, that's The Parent Trap.
Yeah, that's not a body swap.
I feel like she redid both movies that Haley Mills did way back when. Because I'm trying to think of the Freaky. Oh, Freaky Friday is Jodie. I think Jodie Foster. That's the one I remember from way back. The Freaky Friday one, I think.
Yeah, there is an older Parent Trap than the one that Lindsay Lohan was in.
Mm-hmm.
No, I saw it recently, but it's been floating around on the internet forever. Like when you're young and you're learning about Lord of the Rings and you're reading it and you're like, hobbits aren't adults until they're 33. No, 33. And you're young and you're like, fucking hell, hobbits are taking their time. And then you get to about 25 and you're like, no, hobbits have got it right. And then you get to about 35, 36 and you're like, I think hobbits might be rushing it a little bit, actually. I think maybe they're going too quickly here. You just got to power through, but Gary, you too could be a beefcake, babe. You just gotta see it through.
Gary.
Gary.
Well, let's hope Gary learned his lesson and just kind of was patient. Let's hope.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think he fucked around with witchy shit after that, to be fair.
Nora had a lot going on in that episode too. Man.
Yeah, I think that might have been too terrifying for Gary and his bro, whose name I don't remember. He was also a witch, though. He was also on the list of witches. I just don't remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
All right.
Well, okay. So my number one, and you tell me if this counts, Ruby.
Yeah, it counts.
Okay.
We discussed that earlier on, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So even though Ruby was technically when Ruby was human, she made a, demon deal kind of a situation and then was taught witchcraft, all of that stuff. So, and then of course Ruby.
Yeah, so she counts. She's in the fucking beating hearts and Maggie E sandwiches club.
She barges into it. And then the demon that had inhabited one of the witches, they had a thing apparently at some point going on.
Yeah, but again, I'm
it's another one of those things that don't age well where Dean's like, huh?
Yeah. No, I don't mean that Ruby was involved in that book club thing. I just mean people that get their powers from demons tend to be trading for nefarious reasons, or oh, we want to win raffle tickets, or I read it in a fic. I can't fucking remember what it was. Friggin' gnomes. Sam and Dean were investigating a case for something, and it was a bunch of fucking witches that were bloody animating garden gnomes to fuck up people's gardens for their own landscaping business. I forget what fic it is now, but I remember it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Ruby's just one of those man, she's just in for it. She uses all of her know-how, witchy witchcraft know-how for an end game that ends up happening. You know, it's something that she doesn't live very long after that to see what's going to happen after that. But I appreciate her more as a character when I rewatch those seasons. I think it's interesting how different like season 3 Ruby is a little bit from season 4 Ruby. Especially like the after, like when you figure out like what it was she had to promise or do or whatever, you know, to come back. But then when she comes back, she's still like, she's out for herself and what her goal is. And how she's just able to, like move the chess pieces, right? Like to get things to work out in such a way. And
she's one of the only characters, the only like villains on Supernatural that has a plan and sees it through to completion.
I mean,
and also very devout as well.
I think you could even like, I mean, I don't know, like maybe even like, because she is pre Crowley and Rowena, you know, and I think that has a lot to say about what, like how we always say, you know, Crowley's just always one step ahead. And, you know, he says, well, you know, I think he learned a lot of that from his mother too, for the short period of time that he was with her growing up as well. But being
was worth at least 5 weeks.
Being out for yourself, you know, like, you know, and your well-being and what you believe in is pretty I imagine impressive.
I imagine Ruby, Kate Cassidy and Jen probably informed a lot of the character choices for the later demons we spend time with.
And I don't think you find out about her witchy background. I think it is that episode that we hate, because she does have the one thing I do really like about that episode is there's Sam trying to get the demon deal with the Crossroads demon in that episode towards the end. And then there's Dean and Ruby having that conversation in the parking lot, you know, about what it's like to be a demon. And like, I think you get more of an understanding of that she was in fact, I don't think they talk too much about the witch stuff until that episode. So you get more of her backstory in that episode as well. And the fact that she, you know, you realize, oh, demons were once human. She was human. What was her life like back then? You know, why did she make the choices that she made to get these powers that she got?
It's like a law drop that like, oh, not only is Dean going to go to hell, he's probably going to become the very thing that he hunts. Yeah.
Another reason why season 3 is a really good season. I mean,
fucking kick-ass season.
Even some of the episodes that you can't stand, man. There's a lot of stuff going on, putting the plots and, you know, the character, all that stuff is really good. It's really good. But yeah. So I picked Ruby, really number 1.
Okay. I have an honorable mention, which is rare. Okay. I don't normally have honorable mentions, but I do have an honorable mention. But I knew that if I put this one in my list, I'd be in trouble.
Okay.
In my list. Don't touch the holes in my knees. In my list, I'd be in trouble. So my honorable mention, and of course he would be number 1 if he was allowed, is Sam, as he is technically a witch.
Okay. Yeah, student
witch.
Yeah. I think you could have gotten away with. Yeah, you should have made him number 1.
No,
I would have let you have
cheap.
That.
You would have let me have that, but it felt cheap because it was kind of like, in the grand scheme of things, he has the ability of magic, but he doesn't use it very often. It's not a big thing. It would just be me splitting hairs going, oh, technically, I can make him number 1 because, technically he is a witch, but it's not. It would be following the letter, but not the spirit of the rank. So that's why he did not.
Well, that's
make
good.
my list, but I
would have agreed. I would have said, "Hey, you can have that. That's definite." I mean, it fits all of the parameters and stuff. And he's, as a student, he's very good at it. You know, and I think you could just tell he has an affinity for it. And he probably would have been another one that would struggle with like when do I use it? You know, how do I use it? And all those things. And he has done that. Like he's used other witches for different purposes and all those things. You know, so yeah.
And I do think you're right that it was made very obvious in the show that he could have become a very powerful witch if he had wanted to, and he made the choice not to do that and to only call on it when he truly had to.
Yeah.
But no, it felt cheap to put it at number 1 because it was more like a casual pastime of
Gotcha.
his
Okay.
that is calling.
All right.
You know? But
So what was your number one?
My actual number one is Patrick.
Oh,
Curious
yes.
Kasey,
That's
Dean
one of the
Winchester.
ones I was like, I'm pretty sure Casey's going to pick Patrick.
He was first on my list. I had to work backwards from him because I was like, it's got to be Patrick. It's got to be Patrick. And I know there's an argument to be made that he's not necessarily a good witch, and he's not, but he's not inherently bad either.
Mm.
He doesn't, like, to my interpretation of the episode, he doesn't stack the deck. He doesn't cheat. He just plays it straight, and sometimes he wins and sometimes he loses.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and when he does lose, he's quite happy to pay up. He doesn't make a big thing of it, you know. And it's, I mean, obviously there's moral problems in that gambling against desperate people for their lives is that's a grey area for sure. I feel like he could find a different hobby, definitely. But I think he's a really interesting character, and again, it's a season 5 episode, so it's the season where everyone tells Sam how shit he is. Mm-hmm. And that's another time Dean and Bobby are like, no, you definitely can't, no. Mm-hmm. And then Sam goes in and kicks ass. And it's fucking great, you know.
Dean and Bobby both go in and do stupid shit, and then Sam's gotta go and fix it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Sam, like, I mean, I guess we'll never know if Sam's outbursts in that final game were real or if he was just playing Patrick and making Patrick think that he was getting emotional and getting angry. Mm-hmm. But he played a good game and he won. And again, it's another one of those "fuck you guys" moments that I have so much in season 5. I would have burned it all to the fucking ground. I would have let it all burn. Fuck all you guys. But I like he's Irish and suave. You know, I'm into it.
Do you know he was also in Dawson's Creek with Judson?
Was he really?
He was in that same.
Was he really?
That same season, he was in there. They didn't have. I don't think they actually had any scenes together, but he was a character on Dawson's Creek that same season. I just thought that was funny because we keep talking about Jensen's like little black book. I'm like, there's another one. There's another one.
I gotta know if the actual actor is Irish now. That looks like an Irish name. How?
I think so. I think I remember him having an accent in Dawson's Creek too.
How?
I don't remember for sure.
I'm bringing it. Oh no, he's a Turkish Cypriot American actor.
Oh, okay. I feel like he did maybe he did a British accent in Dawson's Creek. I feel like he did some sort of accent. It was another accent. That he did.
He was born in Cyprus. He moved to England at 3, and he was raised in a part of London.
Okay.
So yeah, that's interesting.
He just tweaked it a little bit to make it a little more Irish.
Yeah, I mean, if we've got any Irish people listening, tell us if his accent was authentic or if you were cringing listening to it. But I thought it was a good accent. You know.
I love to continue to point out, and that Ruth Connell continues to say, people were like, oh, your accent was terrible. And my husband did the same thing. It's like, sweetie,
that's how she talks.
That's actually how she talks.
Yeah. I think that's I think it's a bit like, not to generalize, but a lot of Americans, the only sort of British accent that they hear is like London. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's the posh one. Mm-hmm. So I think we all talk like that.
Yeah.
Sandra knows.
Yeah.
And I think that's very true. I couldn't say which is the Scottish accent that is prevalent in America, but it is much like England, very distinctive accents depending on where you're from. I was looking up Train Spotting, you know, the movie with Ewan McGregor.
Yeah.
And they were. The filmmakers were like, what are we going to do about the accents, lads? This is not good. This is going to be a problem. And because there's a scene in the movie where they use subtitles, they didn't want to subtitle the rest of the movie,
right?
Because it would have lost the impact of the scene in the club. So what they ended up doing is the cast members all like really softened because that's a Glaswegian accent,
Mm-hmm.
and they really softened it for like the first sort of 30 minutes of the movie to kind of
Like acclimate people.
acclimate the ear
Yeah.
to it, and then
Yeah.
it kind of, you know, like laid it on a little bit heavier.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I like it's not your fault. It's what makes it in media. You know, things like English things that are popular over there are the ones where we all talk like this.
Yeah.
That's popular, so that's all you hear.
Yeah. Kind of like another reason why I like the British Men of Letters, like when they bring like the old, like the, I don't know, she just reminds me of like whatever that woman was in Harry
The old
Potter.
mom, the old matron.
Yeah. And she very much has that. Or even like Tony Bevel, you know, like just like that. Yeah, we're like very posh.
Equally, it goes the same way over here, because there's a very sort of standard American accent,
Mm-hmm.
and I couldn't even tell you where, like maybe like LA, West Coast, I don't know, but it's just a very standard. Oh, that's an American speaking, and then it's like really overemphasized. So like people from Texas will have really overemphasized Southern drawls. You know, people from like New York, but that's not representative of how people actually talk,
right
necessarily. So it's you know, it's what crosses the borders media wise.
It's
And
just interesting.
Yeah, I couldn't, you know, out of a lineup of American accents, I couldn't fucking pick out. I could pick out like Southern ones, but even then, I couldn't narrow it down to a state. I'd just be like, well, that's from the South.
Yeah, no, I don't think I would be able to do that very well either. Like for like if you're talking like state by state, like again, it's more regional. I think that you just start to get an ear for, but unless you're from like even like the Midwest, like, you know, like there's a lot of different like just nuances to it that, you know, unless you're in it, kind of just like in Italy, like, you know, seems like every little province or every little town has like a just change in the dialect that's just like, you know, and how they use the words and their sayings and everything that's very different. But yeah, it's interesting. It is interesting.
But Patrick is accent aside. He is my number ones.
Good.
My number
I was
ones.
expecting to see Patrick. I feel like you picked Patrick for your other top two.
I think he was one of my top, one of my like one episode stars. Patrick made that list as well. I really like the episode. I just, again, it's kind of like Swap Meet. Or it's kind of like, it's just silly.
Yeah.
You know?
But yeah, that's a season 5 too. Are they like one right after the other? I feel like those are.
It's 7 and 12.
Okay, so not too far apart. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's in that kind of weird, not weird, but it's in that like middle part of season 5 where we've established that it's all fucked. And we've established, but it's that middly part where they're like, well, we can't keep up this level of tension for the whole season.
So they have to toss. Yeah, they have to toss.
So
some,
they
like
chuck some stuff in.
Yeah, which works. That season, those things work. Those things work. There are seasons where that definitely does work. And
it's
good episodes.
You know, and when you get to our age, Sammy, you're 30. Stop it. It's very funny. Yeah, it's a good episode.
Well, this was good. This actually, you know, I mean, aside from it being pretty difficult for us to come up with 5, I'd say we came up with a good list.
But they're 5 that you can talk about for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I rejected the witch with the dog familiar because I was like, not touching that one. No, not with yours, mate.
Things that haven't aged well.
I don't think
that wasn't even good to begin with.
That wasn't right when it started. Never mind, not aging well. That was bad from the off.
Like it just keeps getting like cringier and cringier every time.
Every year you're like, oh,
why?
No.
Who thought this was a good idea? Yeah.
Yeah, like Dean's comment about sorority girls. They would have been like 19, 20, and he was like 26 at the time, and I'm like, oh, Dean, babe, no.
Dean, babe.
Stop.
Dean, babe.
Stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to do that. Shit, what didn't age like Supernatural.
Oh my gosh. But we better wrap this one up because we have another recording to do a little bit later.
We do have another recording.
And it is already late for Kasey. So we are going to wrap up, but we want to know what you thought of our choices. Let us know if there's some, if you really think there was a really great witch that maybe we should have given a little bit more love. Let us know. You can email us at idlingintheimpala@gmail.com. You can comment on Spotify in the Q&A section. You can leave a YouTube comment. Join our Discord and chat with fellow idlers and us in real time. Check out our merch store, which is another fun way to show your support. You can find details for everything on our website. That's idlingintheimpala.com. Want to fuel our supernatural road trip? Consider joining us on Ko-fi for as little as $1 a month. We have perks to go along with different membership tiers and would love to have you along for the ride.
Speaking of perks, we've got special shout-outs for some of our Ko-fi members. From Shotgun Picks and Music tier, we've got Crowley's Mistress, Runaway Dreamer, and Sam and Dean 76. From our own Mrs. Butters tier, we've got Charlie. Thanks for picking the tunes in the car and keeping the lights on in the bunker. Support like yours keeps our podcast going. Thank you. Don't forget, you can always support us for free by liking, commenting, subscribing on YouTube, and following, rating, and sharing on audio platforms. Engagement like that really helps us with the algorithms. All hail their benevolence. As always, we have the causes we support in the description. So for me, you have LGBTQ plus talking charities. From Sandra, you have mental health charities, and the main causes that we are championing, highlighting, spotlighting, as always, are World Central Kitchen and Doctors Without Borders. If you want to know more about these causes, why we're supporting them, what they mean to us, check out idlingintheimpala.com. There is a page there called Causes Cause with all the details. So with that, we will say thank you for joining us in the backseat, and we will see you next time, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.